Good evening, and welcome to the Board of Selectmen's Monday, November 1st, 2021 Selectmen's Meeting in the Wacoit Meeting Room, Mashpee Town Hall, 16 Great Neck Road North, Mashpee, Mass. Broadcast live on local cable, Channel 18, streamed live on the Town of Mashpee website, www.mashpee.gov/channel18. It is now 6:30, and we are in open session. Pledge of allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'd like a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Discussion and approval of the following Monday, October 18th, 2021 regular session.
Move we adopt them as presented.
Second.
Roll call. Tom?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
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 Yes. Thank you. Public comment. John Falone. Wherever you're more comfortable, John.
Can you hear me? Yep. Thank you. I'm John Falone, Stratford Ridge. For the record, I'm here as a 35-year resident of our community and not as the chair of the planning board. My comments are my own and not intended to represent the views of the planning board. If you happen to be at Mashpee Commons this weekend, you likely saw what I saw. Lots of families and kids in costumes having a great time trick-or-treating. There was live music, people enjoying a meal outdoors, lots of shopping, and plenty of smiles. What I saw was a community having fun, socializing and enjoying each other's company in a welcoming, safe, friendly, and inclusive environment. Think about how cool it would have been if these families actually lived in or around Mashpee Commons. By the way, if you missed last weekend's activities, there will be plenty of other opportunities during the holiday season. I encourage everyone to participate in these community events. They're a big part of what makes our town so special. At its meeting on October 20th, the Mashpee Planning Board stated that updating the town's local comprehensive plan was going to be its top priority. Over the last 5 months, the board has been engaged in gathering information regarding a proposed expansion of Mashpee Commons. The board's participation was part of a 3-party development agreement process with the Cape Cod Commission, the Mashpee Commons, and the Mashpee Select Board, the Cape Cod Commission, and the town. The Mashpee Select Board unanimously voted to join back in March of this year. The goal was for the town, the Regional Planning Authority, and the Commons to work collaboratively to create a long-term development plan for the 130 acres adjacent to the current Mashpee Commons site. Because this was the region's first 3-party agreement, everybody knew the process was going to be clunky, and I hoped folks would learn and adjust along the way. However, little progress was made since the initial presentations in early June. With virtually no forward momentum, the planning board decided it was time to regroup for very good reasons. First, one of the questions from the Mashpee Commons discussions over the summer was, what would current zoning allow? The town planner completed a comprehensive build-out analysis that confirmed Mashpee's current zoning is not capable of supporting the variety of residential development necessary to start addressing the housing crisis. Current zoning is also not capable of providing commercial development that will preserve and augment the town's character and charm consistent with the existing commercial development, Mashpee Commons. In fact, current zoning by and large will allow for single-family dwellings, big box stores, and strip malls. Addressing the town's inadequate and antiquated zoning should be a focus of the updated LCP. Second, based on the information gathered over the summer, the community has a decent view of what the future of Mashpee Commons could look like. Being one of the leading taxpayers, one of the largest landowners, and indirectly one of the largest employers in our community, Mashpee Commons' participation in the town's process of updating the LCP should be encouraged and welcomed. Mashpee is embarking on work that will shape the future of our community. The updated local comprehensive plan will serve as the town's long-term strategic framework for development. As such, it will inform not only the plans of Mashpee Commons, but other development as well. The planning board has engaged consultants to help with this process, and I'm confident the board will leverage their expertise. It will be critically important to solicit input from as many residents as possible, those who regularly attend board and committee meetings, as well as those whose schedules are less flexible. This is the community's plan, and the community needs to participate. I applaud the Select Board, Mashpee Commons, and the Cape Cod Commission for attempting the three-party development agreement process. In theory, it was a noble idea. In practice, it clearly needs some rethinking and refinement. And so it seems appropriate to close the current process and devote our collective energies to updating the LCP. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Thank you. Okay, Department of Public Works, Catherine. Discussion and certification of betterment assessments for Charles River East, Leverleaf Lane, Bog River Bend, Fern Gully Pass, and Miller Farm Road. Good evening, Catherine.
Hello, everyone. So this is a road conversion project that has been completed. So before you is the last step in the process.
Okay. We don't need a vote or anything?
Yeah, we do.
We do.
Make
Okay.
just, unless there's questions, I'll make a motion that the board certify the betterment assessment for Charles River East at $4,945.01.
Do I have a second? Roll call, Tom?
Yes?
David?
Yes.
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 Yes. Thank you. Discussion and approval of award of a contract for Aquay Bay Boat Ramp reconstruction, Robert B. Our Marine Division LLC.
So this is a project that was just funded at the October town meeting using CPA funds. We opened bids, whatever the date was, October 21st. We had 4 bids. Robert B. Our was the lowest bidder. Check of their references. They had exceptional references. People could not say enough good things about the firm. So I am recommending that we move forward. As I outlined in the memo, this is time sensitive just because of the time of year restrictions. We need to install the cofferdam before the winter flounder season, which begins in the middle of January.
Make a motion, we approve the award of the contract to Robert B. Our Marine Division LLC in the amount of $233,320.
I'll second.
Roll call, John?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes. Thank you. Mashpee Stormwater Management Program update.
We skipped one. Red Brook Road.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Red Brook.
Discussion, okay.
One more.
Acceptance layout of Red Brook Road, Article 16 of the May 3rd, 2021 town meeting.
I make a motion, we accept the layout plan entitled Layout Plan for Red Brick Road, dated October 21st, 2021, prepared by
Second.
Cape and Islands Engineering.
I'll second that motion as well.
Roll call, John?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Very good. Now, Mashpee Stormwater Management Program update.
Thank you. And we have a brief presentation for the board and for the members of the public who are watching or here in person. With me tonight is Gabrielle Belfit from Ty and Bond. They are our consultants having to do with stormwater projects. This is a annual a requirement of our permit to provide a public education outreach at least once per year. So this will satisfy that requirement for permit year 4, which we are currently in, or just started.
That's
And
correct.
I'm going to actually just turn it over to Gab.
Thank you so much, Select Board, is that correct?
Yes.
That's wonderful. Thanks for allowing Catherine and myself to give you a little bit of update. As Catherine mentioned, we're in permit year 4. This is a 5-year permit cycle, so I think the timing is really good. Tonight, we're going to just focus on some of the major accomplishments from permit.
Just in case for the public,
Oh,
for the microphone. That's
We're
all.
going to focus on some of the major accomplishments of permit year 3 and what our planned focus is for permit year 4. So we are very much appreciative of any comments from the general public as well. As Catherine mentioned, that is one of the permit requirements, that you do provide some opportunities for public engagement. So I'm just going to make sure that we're all on the same page with the definition of stormwater. We'll be talking about the federal EPA permit that addresses stormwater pollution from municipally owned urbanized areas. So stormwater is the rainwater that falls on paved streets, lawns, parking lots, and sidewalks, becomes polluted as it picks up pet waste, leaves, fertilizer, sediment, sand, etc. And in general, the more impervious the area, the greater the stormwater runoff and the more impact there will be to receiving water bodies. In the case of Mashpee, the EPA Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System, that's the name of the permit, it applies to the entire town of Mashpee with the exception of the private roads. So the stormwater drainage is the ditches, the gutters, the catch basin curbs, ditches, but they have to be municipally owned. So that urbanized, you can think of the entire town as being regulated by the permit, but private roads are excluded. EPA and Mass DEP jointly permit this and review once a year the submittals that we provide in an annual report, which our last report was submitted at the end of September. Just kind of in a summary, the program the town was authorized to discharge in 2019. The Stormwater Management Plan, which is the guidance of how the town is going to meet the requirements of the permit, was finalized in 2019, and that program is updated annually as part of the annual report. Down at the bottom is a link to the town's website. You can just go on the town website, look at the Public Works page and the Stormwater Management Program, and deliverables about the permit requirements will be on that page. So in a nutshell, the Stormwater Management Program is guided by 6 separate minimum control measures. These dictate where and what best management practices can be applied in the town of Mashpee to best address water quality issues coming from stormwater. So we are going to focus a little bit on minimum control measure number 3, which is the illicit discharge detection and elimination program, past accomplishments, and planning year 4 planned activities. Another important part of the plan is the impaired water bodies and water bodies with total maximum daily loads for nutrients. And very specific mandates are called forth in the permit about addressing the impairments for these water quality bodies. So I know everyone is very aware that Santuit and Shumet Pond are impaired for phosphorus. Those are going to get a lot of attention in planning year 4 and 5. The TMDLs for nitrogen in coastal areas focus-specific requirements for Hamlin's, Jehu Pond, Great River, Mashpee River, Little River, and then there is the, pretty much the whole town is for the Cape Cod TMDL for bacteria, because everything is draining to Nantucket Sound. Johns Pond, Wakeby, and Mashpee have TMDLs for mercury, but there is no specific BMPs in this permit for mercury. Some of the supplemental requirements are additional public education messaging, increasing street sweeping twice a year, looking at opportunities to retrofit stormwater best management practices that are owned by the town, and looking at ways to optimize nitrogen and phosphorus removal for town-owned properties. So under the illicit discharge detection and elimination, or IDDE program, one of the greatest accomplishments was finalizing the outfall map for the town. We began in the first year of this permit with, I believe, 50 outfalls, or around 50 outfalls that had been identified years back by AmeriCorps. And in fact, most of those actually did not meet EPA's definition for an outfall. And working together with the DPW, Conservation Commission, and other members of Stormwater Management Task Force, we were able to narrow that down to 17 outfalls town-wide. We also ranked those outfalls based on vulnerability factors, and all but one outfall is considered to be a priority, that it should have a focus for nutrient reduction. We also identified all of the stormwater best management practices, and these are any type of a drainage system that goes beyond a typical catch basin. So anything with additional infiltration capabilities. So the town has applied for an asset management grant to help fine-tune information about the stormwater BMPs, including bridges and culverts, to add a level of inspection to help us further prioritize infrastructure improvements for retrofits. And we'll know about the outcome of that grant in January, I believe, December?
End of this year.
At the end of this year. And that's really going to help a lot, because that's one task that we could lift off of the DPW for having to fund. So plan for permit year 4 is, this is the English spelling of phosphorus, apparently. I don't know how I did that, but it didn't get picked up by spell checks. So anyway, I consistently spell phosphorus wrong. The impaired water requirements for Santuit and Ashumet require development of a phosphorus source identification report. And this report will identify all Mashpee-owned properties within the area of Santuit and Ashumet that would be optimal for retrofit opportunity. And this is also supplementing work from an MVP grant that the town received this past summer. So there's a good match there to build one grant, one program against a grant. I also want to mention some achievements under Minimum Control Measure 6, which is the good housekeeping. The town now has a municipal good housekeeping program, which is a fairly robust document that includes an inventory of 37 municipal sites and facilities where activities occur that have the potential to impact stormwater, and then identify what specific written operation and maintenance plans should be in place for each one of these facilities. So this is just a little selection of some of the buildings that are in Mashpee, and there is written SOPs for building maintenance, vehicle and equipment storage, et cetera, as you see in the checklist. So it's one thing to develop the SOP, but in permit year 4 and 5, EPA and Mass DEP are going to be looking to the town to implement it, and they're going to be looking for documentation of that implementation, which does also include employee training. So I'm just mentioning here some of the ongoing documentation that the EPA is looking for is inspections at the DPW garage and transfer station, where they have a site-specific stormwater pollution prevention plan, because they have more robust or more of a pollution potential. So implementation of those good housekeeping SOPs beyond the DPW, they extend to town hall, to fire departments, to the schools. So again, they'll be looking for documentation of how the written procedures are being implemented. They'll be looking for annual inspections of the town-owned BMPs, and record keeping is how they will be tracking it. So again, here is the website for the town page. We go to the Public Works Department and the Stormwater Management Program. You can link from there. And I just wanted to keep it brief and see if there's any questions or comments or anything that I should make note of, because I don't get to come to Mashpee all the time and things change.
Sure. John, you want to start?
Yeah, I got a couple of quick questions. How often is the water tested? Is it tested with this program?
There is no water testing with the permit, but we do report on water testing that the town has completed.
Okay,
So
that's,
that was, what were those specific reports? I
So
can't
it's-
remember that Ashley provided.
Right.
so it's done in conjunction with the Board of Health
Correct.
and,
Yes,
Yes.
yes. we have
okay,
a
that was my next
stormwater-
question.
Stormwater Management Task Force, which includes Board of Health, Planning, Natural Resources, DPW, and a few others.
Right.
And we meet once a year to go over all of the accomplishments, what the metrics are, to help us track that we're implementing each one of the best management practices, minimum control measures. So that's an opportunity to put this information in the annual report, which gets sent to EPA and DEP.
Okay, so you're working in conjunction with the results from the Board of Health and all the other water testing?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Andrew?
Yeah, a couple of things. Thanks, Gav. When you talked about enhanced treatment,
Mhm.
you talked about just enhancing infiltration. Is there anything that the town's doing besides just different kinds of infiltration basins to, with green infrastructure to pull the nutrients out of the wastewater or the stormwater?
Mashpee has got a phenomenal track record for understanding and implementing both LID as well as advanced stormwater treatment systems. So I think the focus is going to be more on doing it on municipally owned land. A lot of these advanced systems are on private land as part of private developments, which is good, and that's all firmly in your development and redevelopment bylaws, that language is in there. So I don't have any specific recommendations, but what we'll be doing as part of the source identification report, followed up by the MVP grant, followed up by retrofit analysis of all the municipally owned BMPs, is what's the best thing to do at that site to maximize nitrogen and phosphorus reduction.
Yeah, I'd just be concerned about just enhancing the infiltration because nitrogen moves
Right,
highly dissolved and the phosphorus
right.
will move.
Right,
So I
and
don't want to just see us putting it in the ground better and
Yeah, so
faster.
we're,
And-
you know, we're, I should say, I am very aware of the unique factors of nutrient, and not only our knowledge of where nutrient loads are, but the non-structural methods as well. And your focus on reducing fertilizer is really huge, and very important part of it. But they are, they're not saying that, oh, no, you must build this advanced treatment system. They're saying you have to address it.
I guess what I'm saying is,
Yeah.
if we're going to spend money, I'd rather spend enough money to put in a system that solves the problem
Yep,
and doesn't just enhance getting the water off the road,
right.
because it's
And-
going to find its way to the pond.
And I guess if I can jump in, so we are trying to, as we do road project, as we do facility projects, we are looking at where we have the space to provide that type of treatment. A lot of our road projects, we only have the right-of-way, so we're limited in what we can do for stormwater. But a recent example, I think you mentioned it at town meeting, was the project we did on Mashpee Neck Road. We had a similar project that we did on Sunset Circle, right on Johns Pond in Johns Pond Estates. So with the work that DNR is doing with Fuss and O'Neill, we've already identified the Santuit Pond Landing as a location where the town owns sufficient land where we can do some additional treatment and not just do leach and catch basins.
Yeah. The other question I have is, you said, I think that AmeriCorps identified 50 sites, only 17 of which met EPA's definition.
Yep,
Those excluded sites
yep.
are still shunting waste, stormwater directly off the road into a surface water feature, right?
No, not necessarily. Some of them were just dots on a map, on upland, and they weren't.
Anyway, I guess the point I was making,
Yeah.
even if there's some that don't rise to the federal outfall definition, and they're still having water quality impacts, I'd like us to
Well-
consider those as well, and not just say,
And
we're not required to deal with
Right.
this site, so we're gonna let it go.
I think it's, the list, I think, became reduced for a few reasons. One, as Gab said, it didn't meet the requirements. But two, as we're doing road projects where we know we have an outfall, whether it meets the technical definition or not, we are trying to address and eliminate those. So I think it was, the initial list was 10 years old. So the town has been making progress to address those outfalls and eliminate them.
Do we also see the areas that are higher in the levels of phosphorus when you test the stormwater in certain areas? Are certain areas higher?
So again, we're not, as part of our permit, we're not testing the stormwater. We rely on the testing that the town is already doing through
Okay.
natural resources, through the Board of Health. We're not, I guess, going out and sampling at any of the stormwater structures
I mean, the
as part
framework
of
of
this
this
permit.
program, Carol, to try to not make it extra burdensome on communities, and doesn't require additional testing. You rely on what you know about the water body, and then you make the assumption that an untreated stormwater, uncontrolled stormwater discharge from a impervious surface to a water body is filled with sediment, oil, grease, nutrients, and bacteria, and you want to get it out. So you don't get that one, this site is contributing X. You just get generic assumptions.
Yeah, and a lot of the phosphorus source identification report, it's based on the land use, the density, depth to water, the catchment area contributing to the outfall, and factors like that. So you're making assumptions, and you're not going out and, it's not that level of scientific testing.
Sure. Thank you. David?
Yeah, I'm not very familiar with, this kind of technology and stuff. So my question was kind of along the lines of Andrew's is, with the retrofits of some of the BMPs, like what what additionally could we be doing to ensure that, things are being removed, phosphorus, nitrogen? I don't know if detergents and things like that are factored in. I don't know what's captured in the matrix.
So under the permit, the focus is on, what's the watershed that's contributing to an impaired water body, like Ashumet and Santuit. The focus there is on phosphorus. So, phosphorus and nitrogen, a lot of the best management practices for providing enhanced treatment address both. Some are a little bit better for one, some are a little bit better for the other, but essentially, you're looking at an opportunity for biological uptake, you're looking for opportunities to take total suspended solids out of the discharge, and you're looking for opportunities, I think I probably already said this, for bioretention, to use a nature-based solution to absorb the nutrients before it discharges off-site. So that, right now, a lot of the discharges is just catch basins. Water's flowing off the road, it's flowing into catch basins. Some of the sediment is being retained and emptied as catch basins are cleaned. But a lot of those nutrients are dissolved and they're passing into the groundwater. So they need a step before that to help remove the nutrients. That's kind of really very simplified explanation of it, but that's kind of it.
Right.
So
So,
it doesn't make sense to do it if it's a catch basin that's in an area where there's no impaired water body. So we're taking our knowledge about the watershed and where things move to, and the land use and the density, and doing this analysis to determine, where the best places are, where the best locations are. And our limit is that they're wanting this to be town-owned land, town-owned property. So anytime there's, road work, that's exactly what Catherine's doing is the right thing. She's looking at all those opportunities for improving stormwater through her roadway work. So you guys are doing it right.
I guess my concerns, due to the nature of the Cape Cod sands and the infiltration rate, the rapid infiltration rate,
Yep.
are we doing enough to capture any kind of contaminants that may be getting out there? I don't know if Public Works or fire station, police station, if they do on-site cleaning of vehicles, if there's any solvents used, anything like that.
There, like you said, part of, it's not just always a physical structural improvement. It's, looking to see what the activities are at the site as part of this good housekeeping plan. And there's recommendations, car washing, and they're directed at public works facilities and fire and police, anyone who is washing a vehicle. And we know what's going on at that facility. We visited it, we've done an inventory, so we know the activities, the pollution potential activities on each site, and have developed an SOP that addresses them. So it's one thing to have them, and it's another thing to implement them. So this whole program has gone from a lot of inventory, understanding the problem, and now we're moving to identifying solutions and then implementing solutions. So that's what is going to go on with this permit. The permit expires in June 2022, next year. And then it's going to probably do what all the permits have done. It's going to just be administratively continued for another 10 years. And they've planned for that, and they have planned implementation milestones between year 6 and year 10. So I think that's, where we'll be at. We'll have our information, we'll have some targets and guidelines, and we'll need to start spending some resources, doing more outreach for education, for residents, for businesses, for town staff, about making these adjustments, which will help.
Tom?
Just a quick couple. So I live in the neighborhood where I'm literally not at the bottom of the cul-de-sac, but I have a cul-de-sac right down the street from my house. I often watch it. The system is full, and out the back side of it, there's a corrugated pipe
Yeah.
that just flows into the wetland right beside the catch basin. And one of the things that I've heard repeatedly from a number of different uses is bark mulch. Bark mulch removing nitrogen from the waters, whether it be stormwater but it cleans it out and removes it.
Okay.
And I would think it would be so simple, and I've thought about it myself, why can't we just dig a trench, put it in a mesh bag, bark mulch, to contain it, and let the water, as it shoots out the corrugated pipe, to filter through the bark mulch? They say it works, I don't know, but, I do it myself. I mean, if they say, go ahead, fill out a bag with bark mulch to contain it, but let it filter through. That's one of my questions. And the next one is, I would think that private neighborhoods, you say you don't go onto private
No,
neighborhoods.
the permit doesn't cover private neighborhoods. So if there is a stormwater outfall on a private road, it's not being addressed by this program because it's not the responsibility of the town.
Okay, so
Not that you don't have a really good idea.
it's not the responsibility of the town. Is it up to the individuals that live in that development to improve that system?
Yes.
It is.
Yes,
So for
right.
me to put it in a
Yeah.
bark, it's the town-owned wetland, but,
Right.
but it's right off the side. I don't know where the line is, but the corrugated
Right.
pipe is there. And I think we have at least 4, maybe 5 very large cul-de-sacs, and they're all at the lower level of
Right.
the cul-de-sac. So, it would be better to have something like that, a simple system that might remove the nitrogen. And I just was kind of throwing that out there and see what you think of that.
It's along the lines of, why people construct rain gardens. They're looking for some type of biological system that will absorb nutrients and pollutions coming from the stormwater. It's funny you mentioned bark mulch. Back in the day, I installed a peat drainage basin up in Eastham as an experiment for septic system. And I'm wondering how that system is doing today, but it's kind of along the same lines that peat has an affinity for absorbing the nutrients. And that was the premise for creating that system.
Well, maybe I can take that up with Catherine and the,
There you go.
Tom, before you go hauling big bags of bark mulch around, that denitrification with mulch works in oxygen-deprived environments, in oxic environments under the ground. So those systems that they're putting in, they're seeing that kind of reduction in nitrogen coming from the subsurface, under the leach field systems. A bark barrier in an oxygenated environment on the top of the ground. It might hold some of the water back, but it's not going to denitrify.
well, I'd give it a try if I could and have it tested.
All right.
I
Thank
think
you.
we're all set.
Any
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your
Thanks,
time.
Deb.
That's not mine.
Discussion and approval of the following special events and temporary sign permits. First one is the annual holiday tree lighting, which will be Saturday, December 4th, 2021, at 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. at the Mashpee Community Park gazebo. Do I have a motion?
We need a motion?
So moved.
Second?
John?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Second is the Veterans Day ceremony, Thursday, November 11th, 2021, 10 to 11:30 a.m. at the Mashpee Community Park. Mary Bradbury, Recreation Director. Do I?
Moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
And lastly, Cape Cod Awesome Chili Challenge, temporary sign permit, Saturday, January 8th, 2022, Papaneset Inn, Boys and Girls Club of Cape Cod.
Mr. Kiley is here.
Mr. Kiley? Do you want to come up and promote your awesome chili challenge?
Big opportunity.
Did you bring any samples?
Everybody's been there.
No samples
No
tonight. Hi,
samples?
everybody.
Oh.
Yep, here representing the Boys and Girls Club. Want to have permission to have our annual Chili Fest. It's going to be 2 weeks earlier this year because of timing. I believe it's January 8th. But all the funds will go to the Boys and Girls Club here in Mashpee.
It's a very good event. I've gone every time.
Well worth attending. Great,
Yes.
great time.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right, thank
Make a
you.
motion to accept and approve the temporary sign permit for the annual Cape Cod Awesome Chili Challenge at the Boys and Girls Club.
Second.
Second.
Roll call. Tom?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
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 Thank you all. Great job.
Can't wait.
everybody.
Thank you. Discussion and acceptance of resignation of the following. Sewer Commission, Deborah A. Vaughn, Precinct 4 Representative. Didn't she just come on?
Yes,
Okay,
so moved.
so moved.
Second.
Roll call. Tom?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
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 Yes. And Mashpee Community Garden Advisory Committee, Michael Talbot and Stephanie Sampson.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call. John?
Yes.
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 Could we also send a letter, please? Thank you. Discussion and approve of the following appointments. Mashpee Community Garden Advisory Committee, Member at Large, John Carter. Term will expire June 30th, 2024. Cheryl Carberry, term expires June 30th, 2023.
So moved.
Second? John?
Yes.
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 Thank you. Shellfish Commission, Commercial Representative Richard J. Cook, Jr., term expires June 30th, 2024.
Motion approved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call. Tom?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
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 Yes, thank you. Zoning Board of Appeals, Associate Members, Robert Gargano, term expires June 30th, 2024, thank you. And Bradford Pitsley, term expires June 30th, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call. Tom?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Andrew?
Yeah.
John?
Yes.
And yes. Communication and correspondence.
Can I talk about lack of correspondence? It's now November. If you recall, back in August, I asked the representatives from the Joint Base Cape Cod to answer 39 questions that we got partway through and they're in front of us. They said they would. They said they would answer them at our next MC3 meeting, which was held a week or 10 days later. They have not. To my knowledge, we've received no response, no communication back. I inquired of them a couple weeks ago whether they intended to reply, and if so, when. I got no response to that request for a response about when they would respond. And I just think that, wanted to bring it to the public's attention. The reason that I chose the approach that I chose was I knew the only way they were going to answer the questions about what they've done to water quality around the town of Mashpee was if they were sitting in front of us, and that the minute we gave them a written request, it was going to go nowhere. So August to November strikes me as a statement loud and clear that there is no intention to answer, and I think people should know that. And my list has gotten longer in the intervening 3 months.
In the questions, I'm sure.
Yes.
And there's been no response. From the last visit we had to the base, they did say, we brought it up, and I believe I was with Mr. Collins, correct? And
The
they
only-
did say they were working on it,
They
but
said that they were working on it, and they said that they needed extended time, but I don't have any timeline to report to you.
Anyway, I just thought people should know. They clearly have no interest in answering for what they've done to the water in the town.
but I did remind them that you would not forget.
I have none.
We didn't think you would. Okay. I would like to take a moment to read a prepared statement to the public and to my fellow board members. As we all know, recently, there have been questions and concerns regarding the expansion of Mashpee Commons. I personally feel that this engages the community in important dialogue and provides us all with the opportunity to focus on public interest and to preserve our standard of quality living. Sadly, the last several months of the public conversations have made me question myself what we could have achieved. There have been assertions in social media platforms that are factually inaccurate and have been hurtful and damaging to people doing their best to serve this community. I fully support anyone in expressing their opinions. However, when people stir up emotional responses from inaccurate information, it unnecessarily creates hostile and resentment. I believe we are better than this. I believe we can express our differences but preserve respect for each other. I believe we can conduct discourse but keep it civil. I make a plea to all of you. Please think before you speak, and please think before you write. This is not intended to muzzle your opinion, but rather intended to advocate that you act respectfully. If anyone has a complaint or a perceived conflict regarding a select board member, I encourage you to contact me as chair. I can be contacted at csherman@mashpeema.gov. I encourage you to seek answers to questions or seek clarity to assumptions prior to writing or posting statements that may be inaccurate but may be presented as fact. The constant bickering leads to mistrust. We are better than this. I implore you to be patient and understanding and leave the name-calling and name-calling and tactics out of the community discussions. Mashpee is a unique town known for its willingness and ability to support each other in times of need. We need to muster all that spirit and bond. I'm concerned that the fabric once weaved to keep us together will be torn apart if we don't change course. Again, we are better than this. The temperature in this community has escalated as a result of social media. Let's all play a part in bringing the temperature down and respect each other, regardless of our differences. All of this being said, and going on to the next agenda item, the Mashpee Commons Development Agreement. I placed this on the agenda because I wanted to have a better understanding of this agreement. And I did inform Mr. Chase, and he has provided us with a letter, which will be available for anyone to read, which is available here. And taking in everything in consideration, I think it's best to dissolve this three-way development agreement, and we need to move on.
Carol,
Whoever wants to.
Yes.
appreciate your comments. I would make a motion that Board of Selectmen vote to withdraw itself and dissolve the three-party development agreement process.
Second.
For that,
Roll call.
Yes.
Andrew?
Yes.
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 David?
Yes.
And Tom? Thank you.
Well said, Carol.
Thank you. Now for new business, additional topics, liaison reports. John? Andrew?
Just on sewer matters, we're continuing to plow ahead. There's going to be a working session with the Summerwood condominium residents on the 9th of this month, so a week from tomorrow. where we're going to talk through some of the issues that are unique to that particular development, and work continues towards getting a bid package together and moving along. Sewer Commission's working really hard.
Thank you.
Good. David?
Nothing at this
No?
time?
Tom?
No, quiet as well.
I have a couple of things. Thanksgiving. The Mashpee Chamber will organize and deliver Thanksgiving dinners to homebound Mashpee residents. To request a meal, please call the Chamber at 508-477-0792. Please leave a contact name, number, and a delivery address of meals and number of meals requested. Cutoff date is Friday, November 19th. Meals will be delivered on Wednesday, November 24th by volunteers. Meals are sponsored by the Cooperative Bank of Cape Cod, Roach Brothers, and Bayard Home Health, and the Club of New Seabury. The Christmas Parade is a time to celebrate. Please visit the MashpeeChamber.com for the dates and times of registering your float. The parade will be December 11th, which is Saturday night. Town manager updates.
Yes, Madam Chair. Today and over the weekend, there was one new positive COVID case and no deaths. There are currently 15 cases. No cases have moved out of isolation. The current case count stands at 1,147. That's in total. I also want to remind everyone of the Regulatory Board Roundtable meeting dates, Monday, November 8th, and Monday, December 13th, 2021. I want to inform the board that the FBI and the police departments of Mashpee and Lakeville and Taunton and the tribal police met in order to form a Safe Trails Task Force. This is clearly a law enforcement function, just to make sure that there is a clear understanding relative to everyone's roles and responsibilities in times of need. And this was vetted by legal counsel for the town of Mashpee, as well as legal counsel for the other entities. And on the advice of counsel, I have authorized our chief of police to execute the MOU. There was a letter of support of the Cape Cod and Plymouth Regional Economic Development Organization grant proposal. And there was also a letter of support for Mashpee's Harbor Management Plan grant application, which I commend the DNR director for. And I also want to report that MTV is responsible for providing an annual report. It's normally due no later than December 1st. However, MTV is asking that it become due 30 days after the contract is settled with Comcast. I see no reason to object to that. So unless the board directs me otherwise, that's what's going to happen.
Yep, that's fine. I don't think anyone objects to that.
And lastly, today I was served relative to the CLF litigation against the town.
Okay.
Yes. The town was served today relative to the CLF litigation. I received service today.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
I'd like to actually, I'd like to ask if we could motion to add an additional discussion topic regarding next week's wastewater discussion.
Roll call?
Yes.
To add, okay.
Yes.
Yes, yes. Go
Okay.
ahead, John.
Yes. So thank you. I just, I don't know if anybody else has a few additional topics, but I'm just thinking this is going to be, I hope to be very productive, and it might be a very lengthy meeting next week. So I would like to see if the town manager can relay a couple of my requests to either the Board of Health or whoever. And it's more about just so we have prepared enough information that we can kind of dig into a lot of topics. One of them would be in regards to today's discussion regarding stormwater, but specifically, if we can have a comparison of harmful bacteria or contaminants levels on a comparative level between all the ponds and lakes. I'm sure we have the results, but I'd be curious to see if there's like a trend by looking at the town, if there's maybe, and again, there's a lot of harmful contaminants out there. Just whatever they can provide, it would be helpful. And also,
All the ponds?
in ponds and lakes, again, I know it only gives them a week, but if they,
You want to get the compiled data from the county beach sampling program. That's going to give you the bacteria.
That's going to give it,
yeah, that's just, you know what I mean? If we can just compare, like, okay, here's Santua Pond, here's John's Pond.
Yeah.
I just think it would be added conversation. Also, and this might be a legal question, but I'd like to know what we have as potential authority or enforcement in regards to septics, failed septics, IA systems. What specific potential authority or enforcement will we have?
You're referring to the Board of Health, correct?
Correct.
Okay,
But-
you're not referring to the Board of, or
Well-
Select Board?
no.
Well, I guess if we make a ruling, like, say, for example, and I'm not leaching fields, but,
Thanks.
correct. So what enforcement or what rule, do we have the authority to work on enforcement?
The Board of Health, or,
The Board of Health.
It's
Yeah.
all going to come through the health,
Yeah.
general health, police powers.
I just want to clarify.
Yeah, so, and again, I don't know if it's a legal authority, if, I don't know what but I want to make sure that it's not like, well, we don't know if we have the authority or Board of Health has the authority, but,
Come in prepared to say what they can and can't do.
correct.
Yep.
So it's all about what it can and can't do as far as enforcement. And I'm assuming all the rest as far as results on, within 100 feet, 300 feet, all those are already going to be prepared. But I don't know if anybody else has anything else they want to add that, give them a week so they can have some more results for us to discuss.
Yep, that's fair.
I mean, I think the stuff that people are working on that I know of are, again, sort of an overview of what the wastewater management plan revised is going to be, some discussion about what the conditions are in the ponds based on monitoring, so it's the cyanobacteria and the nutrient loads. So just sort of inform us what the options are. Then, the chair of the sewer commission and I went to the Board of Health 2-3 weeks ago and briefed them on the discussion we had a couple meetings ago about the expanded program, and started them thinking down the road of, along the lines of questions you brought up, of, what are their authorities? When can they require somebody to do something? And when there's a sewer coming, when can they give people a little bit of a break? Not that they don't have to do anything, but maybe they can do a little less and save some money so that they can then connect into the sewer at a shorter period of time. So I think they're going to come in ready to talk about those issues.
Yeah, I mean, could we mandate or enforce, and specifically enforce and mandate, then that they dump their system in a period of time? 'Cause right now,
Yes, I mean, those are all questions.
There's
I
a
think
lot of
they're
questions there.
Under prep.
okay.
Well, an IA system right now it's tested at least once a year, I believe, if not twice. So that information is readily available to anybody, and it's turned in to the Board of Health.
Right, but again, there's a lot of, most of these houses around these ponds and lakes.
Oh, anybody
don't
that
believe
has a
they're on an
system
IA
that's
system.
not an upgraded system in my opinion, should be required to update immediately, if not sooner.
Well,
That's how
that
I
goes-
feel.
That's what we should talk about.
That's the enforcement and
Right.
authority. I want to know what we have the authority to do.
I have no problem with that. What was it, last week, last meeting, we had someone with a failed system that was abutting the waterway.
Right.
Like, really?
Yeah.
Should be done, should be taken care of.
Right.
And specific, and my biggest thing, as far as this topic, is the enforcement cesspools. And if you're within 100 feet of a cesspool, specifically, what is our authority? Whether it's Board of Health, that is, for me,
That should be something that should be recorded, because it needs to be done more frequently than any
Well,
other system.
again, that's what the whole, I don't know
tight-
what the
a tight
authority, and I
system,
don't know what
right.
the enforcement can be.
Right, well, but
We'll
there
find
should
out.
be, there should have been requirements. I'm surprised that there aren't requirements.
Right. The house wasn't sold, it's not required to be replaced with a Title V. So,
No, I'm not suggesting it, but there should have been requirements as to how often it should be pumped out.
well, so regarding cesspools, in every and all options, please.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. I move that the board go into executive session pursuant to just General Law, Section 30A, subsection 21A, 3, to discuss contract negotiations relative to the personal service contracts of the town manager, Rodney C. Collins, assistant town manager, Wayne E. Taylor, and police chief, Scott Carline, where an open meeting may be a detrimental effect on the negotiation position of the town. The Board of Selectmen will not reconvene in open session. I declare that an open meeting on this issue may have a detrimental effect on negotiating position of the town.
Second.
Yes,
Roll call?
Yes.
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 Thank you.